the first week of the season looked really bumpy, especially with that series against the Rays. But since then, the team has looked outstanding. You start talking about the way the Judge has been hitting the ball. You start looking at a lot of your young players. 15-8 in the month of April. I mean, tied for the second best record, tied for the best record in the American League, second best record in the major leagues. I have to ask you, has this team exceeded your expectations so far?
Yes and no. I mean, the bottom line is the last 2 months, we can't forget, of 2016, we really were thriving.
Yep.
It was after the deadline. We made some changes, brought up Gary Sanchez, and he went off. And then we went to Major League Spring Training this year, and we had the best record in all of baseball in Arizona and Florida, even though it's exhibition games. It meant something, especially when you have a younger crew. And now the first month of the season, we get out of April, despite our last 2 games, which we've lost, having the best record in the American League. And baseball, that all adds up to something. There's something there, like going into through April right now. We're on pace for a 90-win season after we completed April, and we're like, man, if we could just win 15 games a month, that's 90 wins right there.
There you go.
Start doing the math. And,
Yeah.
But more exciting, our fan base is energized. I mean, listen, we had Bird come up in 2016 and 2015 and did remarkable stuff. Last year. The last 2 months of the season, it was Gary Sanchez's coming out party. He's been on the DL. We should get him back by Friday. And then now the first month of April, it's Aaron Judge. It's the Aaron Judge show. And so these are different names, all young, all with the ability to have long, exciting careers, and they're Yankees. So it's some good, cool stuff. But it's not just them. You got you got little guys like a Ronald Torreyes or a backup catcher in Romine that have done great things. You have Ellsbury and Headley or the veterans or a Holiday. They're doing great things. So it's spread out throughout, and that's what a winning situation looks like, which is you're getting contributions from all aspects of the roster, top to bottom. And that's when that starts to happen for a period of time, then usually that's where the magic can sustain itself. So it's giving us some optimism.
And that's, again, why it's so important to win while you're trying to rebuild at the same time, which is something that, again, I give you guys so much credit for doing, especially last season and then moving into this season, because we're really not talking about Greg Bird struggling. I mean, we're really in no rush because Austin Romine's playing so well to get Gary Sanchez back. I mean, even Gleyber Torres, like, how hard was that for you to send him down with the kind of spring that he had?
It wasn't hard for me because it was the right decision, but, I mean, you could feel the pressure. He had such a great winter at the Arizona Fall League, being the MVP. He's only 20 years old. He comes into Major League camp, and he looks like he's better than the opposing, anybody in our roster. And we had an opposing manager within our division. I won't say who it was. Tell one of my coaches, like, hey, are you guys going to bring Torres to the big leagues? And the answer was no, Cash won't let us. and the opposing manager said good. And so, of course, that was more ammunition because it's someone that everybody sees the same things, but I have to take a step back, recognize he's 20 years old. He's never played in cold weather. He hadn't played above A ball. And just because we had an injury to Didi Gregorius, which was a short-term circumstance, doesn't mean at the expense of Gleyber Torres and the excitement he's currently creating, I have to put him on warp speed to get him here. He's sped up his development process already, and he's probably going to be here sooner than later at some point, whether it's 17 or 18, who knows. But I couldn't do it that quick.